Hey there everybody, it's Wayne D. And of course we got Tiger Woods in front of us here. So we're going to take a look again at a comparison between his newest swing, which was last week at the Fries, and found a nice swing from probably 01-02 era, definitely Harmon. So I wanted to show you what I think are the major differences now as opposed to what you might consider his prime. I got a nice shot here from the guys out at San Francisco Golf Academy, so thank you for taking some good pictures. Now, here's what I see, and some of it is technique related. I think a lot of it is grip related, and some of it is just physical impairment. So from watching my videos, you know that I am very interested in how players move from in the down the line view within the box. So I want to know how their hips move, specifically how the knees act, and whether or not the hips and the lower body stays deep away from the ball while the head stays out over the ball. Now the announcers are taking pains to just beat to death the lowering factor, and what I want to show you here in these swings is how that's not as different as you would think. Now in the backswing, I would say we've got a little more compression now than before, so you can see that's pretty obvious. It's not from none to a bunch, it's just a little bit. Now watch. Remember, this is his prime, and here's the lowering into the approach position. There's the top of the head. So now we'll go back to the newer version. Now, if you ask me, that's very similar. So I wish, would somebody send this to Frank Novelo, please? And Peter Oosterhouse and Brandel Chambly, please. Somebody email this video to them. The lowering is not the issue. He always has done it. He's won 14 major championships. Now here's the difference. When he hits the ball, now he will come more up into it, and when he hit the ball back then, he would actually lower his head even a little bit more, which is another thing these guys like to beat on. When you see somebody like Jeff Overton drop his head after impact, they'll make note of that too. Every time the guy hits it to the right, it's because he didn't have any room to release the club, which is not the case. Now, two bigger factors here. One is very obvious. Take a look at the club face at the top. Just a huge difference. Now, he had a pretty neutral grip back then, and his wrist stayed neutral at the top, and the club face angled along with the wrist. He went to a very weak grip with Hank Haney and had the face quite open, and it got so open that he began to bow his wrist quite a bit to get the face not to be shut. Now, as he has gone to back to the more neutral grip and strengthened it even a little bit more, the wrist has not cupped the way he would like to practice when he's playing, and thus will have a much more closed club face. Now that's not actually dead shut, but you can see that the face up here is really not that far from being straight up at the sky. Now that's a huge difference. You change club face angles like that. I teach people, and I'll change their grip, and immediately the ball will, I can tell where the ball is going to go right away, because the hands just aren't going to change their release pattern as fast as you can change your grip. So that's a big difference. Now, you can also see, obviously, the club is pointing a little bit more left than it pointed there, but you got to remember that this was still a transitional swing for Tiger here on the left, because if you go back to 97, his club was pointed over there, and he won the Masters by 12 strokes with the club massively across the line. In the end, it really doesn't matter so much exactly how Tiger swings. A couple of things matter, but obviously with that 97 swing, he was beating the crap out of everybody anyway. So the technique side of it is not the big deal. The release of the hands is a big deal. That's the talent factor. And of course, what people don't talk about is the fact that he used to get every shot up and every ball up and down and make every important putt, and he's just not doing that anymore. That's got to come back for him to come back to be a top 5 player. Now, the physical part of it, this is the big deal. Watch the hips in the box. So in the backswing, what you'll note is that, again, the right leg here is just not quite the depth that it had back then. You can see there's a little better symmetry here with the knees, but the all-important downswing hip action, let's take a look. That's pretty much of a hallmark of Tiger, that he always shot his right leg a little bit forward and up, and his heel would lift a little soon. But what saved him was the amazing depth of his left hip and leg. And when he snapped that leg back, watch how that left leg stays behind the box, and the right leg goes from in front of it to where it straightens and snaps in the box and almost deeper than the box. Now that was something that he did consistently all through his career until now. Now watch what happens. Now there goes the right leg out in front, but instead of the left leg, now these knee problems are killing him, instead of the left leg just snapping back, this heel normally, when you look at the swings of his, I'll show you a couple where the foot comes off the ground and starts to flail around. The heel would always move backwards, and the left leg would get deeper. And when that left leg got deeper, that allowed the left arm to rotate harder around. Now watch what happens here. Now, you never used to see that. Look at that. I mean, he's out of the box by a couple inches there. That is just not a Tiger-like leg action. Now, if you were to measure through impact, so let's say that those two positions are pretty much the same. Look at the hip, look at his butt. I'm willing to bet there's 20 more degrees of clear in that left one than there is in that right one there. You can see in the upper body looks fairly similar, but man, that lower body looks way different. And the whole difference there is how much of that left leg you see. And that's the knee that's the problem. So without the ability to snap that leg back, as that club comes down, the hands continue out toward the ball just that fraction longer. And sometimes the thing turns over too much, and sometimes it doesn't. But that's a necessary item in his swing. Now I told you I was going to show you. Here's a swing when he won the Masters. So if you think that Tiger Woods has to have a perfect swing to win golf tournaments, I mean, who would take that and say the guy's going to win by a dozen shots? I mean, there's all sorts of stuff going on there, but you know, when you've got perfect rhythm, incredible talent, great hands, and look at this, look at the leg action there. Now, I find it very interesting that before he was really working hard with anybody, watch the left leg and foot. Look how stable the foot is there. It just doesn't leave the ground. When you go to the swing that everyone touts as the greatest swing ever, 2000, watch the left foot now. Look at that. Completely in the air and changing position. Now you'll see some of the swings in 2000 where he doesn't move that foot around that much, but again, this isn't competition. Watch this one. So what I was saying is, if you watch that movement, you'll see it. The leg is pulling back so hard that the heel actually slides backwards a few inches. Now that amazing leg action, look how open that thing is as he's hitting the ball. That amazing leg action really made up for whatever technique glitches that he was having. And now he just doesn't have that. You know, it's just not the same. And you can look at these shots and you can kind of see the same thing happening. Once again, you see the face almost pointing to the sky and the hips actually pushing out to the right just a hair through the ball. Now, I got a couple of these swings where he moved the foot around. See if I can find the one I was thinking about here, but so most of these were a little bit more stable, but I remember I did catch one in particular. Oh, there it is. Now maybe because it was raining it was a little slippery, but if you watch this footwork, take a look at the right, you can see it's giving. Now watch the left, it's going to move. Now, it used to be that when that happened, it would go backwards. Now it's not doing that anymore. It's staying more up on the front of his foot. Hips aren't opening as much. And you can see it right in there. It almost looks like McIlroy's hip move. It's like a stall. So again, couple of things to consider. One is that the head movement is similar all through his career. So, wish those guys would stop beating on that. The grip changes back and forth. Have the club face a little bit on the shut side now, but it's that hip action that's the big deal.